Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum class. Today we are going to discuss the oxidation of the fatty acids. Under this topic, it comes first the saturated and even carbon containing fatty acids and their oxidation. The fatty acids in the body are mostly oxidized by the beta oxidation, and beta oxidation is defined as the oxidation of the fatty acids on beta carbon. Like this is carboxylic acid functionality. Uh, Adjacent carbon is alpha 1, then is beta, and so on gamma. Therefore, the oxidation is occurs at this carbon. Therefore, this type of oxidation of fatty acid is called the beta oxidation. And fatty acids consist of long chain of carbons. These long chain of carbon containing moieties may be the saturated one or the unsaturated one, and the carboxylic acid functionality is present at one end, and the R group is present at the other end, and mostly it's the methyl group in case of non-branched or the unbranched fatty acids. At the result of the fatty acid oxidation, which is the beta oxidation, it results in the sequential removal of the two carbon containing fragments, which is called acetyl. But this acetyl group is linked with the S CoA, therefore it's called acetyl CoA. It means that at the end of each continuous sequential oxidation steps, there is release of the acetyl CoA, which is the two carbon containing moiety. The stages in the beta oxidation is comprised of mainly three forms. These stages include the first is the activation of the fatty acid, and this step takes place in the cytosol. Then is the transport of the fatty acid from cytosol to mitochondria. And last step is the beta oxidation. Therefore, I have written the word beta oxidation proper, which takes place in the mitochondrial matrix. And fatty acids are oxidized by most of the tissues in the body. It means that in most of the tissues of the body, the beta oxidation of the fatty acid is occurring. However, there are some tissues which can't utilize the fatty acids for their energy requirement, and these include uh, brain, erythrocytes, and the adrenal medulla, uh, among the you can say the organelles which can't utilize the fatty acid for their energy requirements. Fatty acid activation includes that the CoA functionality should be transported to the fatty acid. Therefore, the fatty acids are activated to the molecule which are called acyl CoA, and the enzyme which is involved in it is the thiokinase or the acyl CoA synthetase. It means that synthetase derived from the word that the acyl CoA molecule is going to synthesize, and the kinase mean the bond which is holding or which is forming in the molecule is SCS bond, and the reaction occurring in two steps, and these reactions require the ADP coenzyme A and magnesium as cofactor. Fatty acid first reacts with the ATP to form uh, acyl adenylate, which then combines with the coenzyme A to produce acyl CoA. And therefore, the two high energy phosphate groups, which are regarded as PPI means pyrophosphate group, is are utilized, and since ADP is converted to PPI, and the enzyme inorganic pyrophosphate hydrolyze PPI to phosphate. It can be depicted from the reaction which is outlined over here. That here is the group of or the molecule of the fatty acid. ADP is involved, and enzyme is thiokinase. Pyrophosphate functionality. Pyrophosphate means combination of the two phosphate groups is taken away from the ATP. Therefore, only the AMP means for the ATP, there are two inorganic phosphate groups which are taken away. Therefore, now it's the adenosine monophosphate, and it's combined with the fatty acid functionality to give the acyl adenylate, and there is release of the 2-pi, and again another enzyme is involved over here to release the two inorganic phosphate group. The enzyme involved is pyrophosphatase, and this enzyme immediate makes the elimination of the PPI. Therefore, this reaction is completely irreversible. When it's going away, therefore it's no longer available for the ADP to reunite. Therefore, this reaction is regarded as the irreversible reaction. And here the three different thiokinase in fact are present in the cytosol, which are responsible to activate long chain fatty acid, which consist of 10 to 20 carbons, medium chain fatty acids, which comprised of 4 to 12 carbons, and the short chain fatty acids, which have less than 4 carbon units. Therefore, due to the presence of long, medium, and short chain fatty acids, different types of the thiokinases are present in the cytosol to activate the fatty acids to its CoA functionality. And here is shown the CoASH will be make the part of the acyl adenylate, and therefore this AMP functionality is released. And therefore, after the series of these two reactions, the functionality or the moiety which is formed from the while starting from the fatty acid is acyl CoA. Now the next main target is to transport this acyl CoA into the mitochondria. Up till now, the reaction which we have discussed was taking place in the cytosol. Now this acyl CoA are transported inside the mitochondria. How this target is accomplished? In fact, the inner mitochondrial membrane is not permeable to the fatty acid. Therefore, special mechanism is required to make or to get the fatty acid inside of the mitochondria. For this, the specialized carnitine carrier system is present. Therefore, this carnitine carrier system is called carnitine shuttle, which is responsible to transport the activated fatty acid from the cytosol to the mitochondria. And for this task, acyl group of acyl CoA is transferred to the carnitine, and the enzyme which takes part in this reaction is the carnitine acyl transferase 1. And then it's transported across the mitochondrial membrane, and special carrier proteins are also present in the mitochondrial membrane to carry the acyl CoA, which is now transported to the carnitine to be part of the mitochondrial matrix. And carnitine acyl transferase 2 converts acyl carnitine back to the acyl CoA. And now again the carnitine is available. It's now the free, and it will go into the cytosol for the again carry out this function. And here is shown the structure of the carnitine. It's a small molecule which is responsible for the transport of the acyl CoA. Here is the complete mechanism that in cytosol there were acyl CoA, and carnitine was present over there, which behaves as the carnitine transport shuttle, and therefore it will take the this acyl part with it. Therefore, acyl carnitine is formed. The S-CoA is released in the form of CoASH, and enzyme which cause this exchange of groups between the carnitine acyl CoA is the carnitine acyl transferase 1. The carrier proteins are present in the inner mitochondrial membrane, and they are responsible to carry out the acyl carnitine inside of the mitochondrial matrix. It means that these all are, you can say, milestones which acyl CoA has to be accomplished in order to reach the mitochondrial matrix. When acyl carnitine is reached in the mitochondrial matrix, then another enzyme is present, which is carnitine acyl transferase 2. And again, it exchange occurs, and acyl group is again given to the CoASH. Therefore, S-CoA or the CS bond, kinase bond, or the, you can say, the CS bond is again undergoes the formation, and the carnitine is again released. When carnitine is released, now it's free again to go in the cytosol and perform same mechanism in order to carry out the acyl CoA from the cytosol to the mitochondrial matrix. Therefore, the cell has two separate pools of CoA which are present in the cytosol, and the CoA which is present in the mitochondrial matrix. Inhibitor of the carnitine shuttle. Carnitine shuttle is inhibited at the carnitine acyl transferase 1 enzyme position, and carnitine acyl transferase 1 is inhibited by the malonyl CoA, and here is the structure of the malonyl CoA. It's in fact a key metabolite involved in fatty acid synthesis that occur in the cytosol. While fatty acid synthesis is in the progress, the high concentration of malonyl CoA, then this oxidation process will not occur because there is impairment in the carnitine shuttle, and carnitine shuttle will no longer be available to carry the acyl CoA from the cytosol to the mitochondrial matrix. Therefore, we can say that the malonyl CoA behaves as an inhibitor for the carnitine acyl transferase 1, which is responsible for carrying the acyl CoA from the cytosol to the mitochondrial matrix. Now the steps are for the beta oxidation, which occurs properly inside of the mitochondria. And each cycle of beta oxidation in fact liberates 2 carbon units, which are called acetyl CoA, and it occurs in fact the series of the 4 reactions, which are oxidation, hydration, oxidation, and so on. The first step which occurs in the beta oxidation is the oxidation steps. These all steps are occurring, I have told you earlier, for the activation and for the transport of the acyl CoA inside of the mitochondrial matrix, Up till now, stage one, stage second. Now we are going to discuss the stage or the step three, which is properly the oxidation of the fatty acid, which is occurring at the beta position. Now the acyl CoA undergoes dehydrogenation reaction, and therefore two hydrogens are removed, one from the alpha and second one is from the beta carbon of acyl CoA. And enzyme which performs this function is acyl CoA dehydrogenase, but it also there is also involvement of flavin adenine dinucleotide, and hydrogen is given to FAD to gives FADH2. And there is build-up of double bond at the alpha and the beta position of the acyl CoA. Now the molecule formed is trans to anylyl CoA, the ene and ol group, which are functionalities combined together present in a molecule. Next step is the hydration, and hydration involves the addition of the water molecule across this double bond, and this addition of the water molecule across this alpha beta unsaturated double bond is carried out by the enolyl CoA hydratase. It means that there is going to be the hydration of the CoA molecule. Therefore, the beta hydroxyacyl CoA is formed because hydroxyl group is added to the beta position with respect to this carbonyl functionality. And the third step is again the oxidation step. Oxidation means again there is removal of hydrogen from the molecule. Whenever there is removal of hydrogen from the molecule, this is called dehydrogenation reaction and also oxidation reaction as well. Therefore, beta hydroxyacyl CoA undergoes the oxidation and it gives again its hydrogen to the other, you can say the functionality here, instead of FAD, NAD is present. And now there is built up of one more double bond, but it's on the beta position. Therefore, this molecule is called beta keto because the double bond is formed at the beta position with respect to this carbon. And overall, this molecule also contains the keto group. Therefore, it's called beta ketoacyl CoA. The final reaction is the cleavage of this beta ketoacyl CoA. And for this reaction, the enzyme involved is thiolase enzyme. And this enzyme is in fact the beta ketyl ketoacyl CoA thiolase. And therefore, it break up this bond by incorporating S-CoA with the this remaining part. Therefore, by breaking up of this bond, there is release of the acetyl CoA as one molecule, and the remaining one is the molecule of the rest of the fatty acid. It may consist of CH2 chains like 16, 18, 20, 22, and so on. It means that the acyl CoA, which is released by the cleavage of the bond, is 2 carbon less than the fatty acid, which is utilized or which undergoes this beta oxidation reaction at the start. Therefore, this acyl CoA, I will go at the back slide. This acyl CoA, like this, undergoes the series of these reactions again to release the 2 carbon containing acetyl CoA molecule. Here is the overall reaction starting from acyl CoA. First is buildup of double bond. Next one is the addition of water molecule across the double bond. Next step is also the oxidation or the dehydrogenation step to give the beta keto acid functionality. And next step is the cleavage from this beta position. And acyl CoA, which is 2 carbon less, again enters the whole series of the step of the beta oxidation. Like starting from here, it will again undergo this series of reaction. Again, acyl CoA less than 2 carbon containing functionality is generated, and so on. This cycle is going on unless or until there is complete oxidation of the fatty acid. Here is the complete cycle by starting from the cytosol activation step. Then there is transport, and lastly there is proper beta oxidation. And for overall reaction for each cycle, it means that for each release of the 2 carbon containing acetyl functionality, FAD is involved, 1 NAD is involved, 1 water molecule was utilized for the hydration, CoASH was utilized to give acyl CoA, which is less than 2 carbon containing functional group, or 2 carbon, which is less than 2 carbon in comparison to the starting fatty acid. Formation of acetyl CoA, formation of reduced FAD, formation of NAD reduced form. And for example, oxidation of, if I will say the palmitoyl CoA, then in fact the palmitoyl CoA undergoes the steps, and these, you can say, steps or cycles will be the 7 one. Therefore, I will use the 7 CoASH, 7 FAD, 7 NADs, and so on, as multiple of 7s will be released. But here I have not written the 7 because the other remaining, the acyl group, which will be formed, it's also a 2 carbon containing. Therefore, I will unite these two to give overall count as 8 acetyl CoA. Therefore, I will say the palmitoyl CoA undergoes 7 cycle of the beta oxidation to yield, in fact, the 8 acetyl CoA. And these acetyl CoA, you know that they will enter the citric acid cycle, and they will completely oxidize to carbon dioxide and the water. For the energetics of beta oxidation for the palmitic acid, which is the 16 carbon containing fatty acid, because beta oxidation here undergoes the 7 cycle, therefore I have to give or I have to show the ATP yield. How I will do? There is involvement of 7 FAD, or you can say 7 FADH2, or the reduced forms are formed. Therefore, when they are going to be oxidized by the electron transport chain, they have to give multiples of 2s. It means that each FADH2, when it will get oxidized, it will give 2 ATP. Therefore, 7 into 2, the count will be the 14 one. And each NADH, when it's oxidized through the electron transport chain, it will give the 3 ATPs. Therefore, the overall total ADP liberated from the oxidation of the 7 NADH will be the 21. And there is formation of 8 acetyl CoA, and these 8 acetyl CoA will go in the citric acid cycle. And from each of these acetyl CoA, it will in fact provides the 12 ATPs. Therefore, 12 into 8, it will liberate the 96 ATPs. And therefore, total energy from the 1 mole of the palmitoyl CoA will be the 131 by counting these two. But from the very first step, there was utilization of ADPs. Therefore, uh, in order to form the palmitoyl CoA, therefore two ADPs are subtracted from here. Therefore, I will say the net yield for one molecule of palmitate is 129, and 129, when they will be multiplied with the 7.3 calories, they will give 940 calories overall. And the efficiency for the energy providing, you can say the mechanism of the fatty acid oxidation will be the total calories produced divided by the standard energy, free energy of the palmitate, which is 2340 calories. And therefore, the efficiency of this fatty acid will be the 40%. Here is the complete picture that through the cycles, series of cycle, 7 NAD plus and 7 FADs were utilized, and these 7 multiples, 7 plus 7, reduced NADH and FADH were liberated to give overall 35, and from 8 acetyl CoA, they are multiple of the 12 ATP giving, providing energy, and therefore their count will be the 96. Here is the disorder which is called SIDS. It's in fact disorder due to the blockade in the beta oxidation. And what is for it have found that there is unexpected death of the healthy infants, and usually overnight. And it is found that the 10% of SIDS is due to the deficiency of medium chain acyl CoA dehydrogenase enzyme. And there is defect frequency which is found is 1 in 10,000 birth of the child. And the reason is giving that the glucose is the principal source of the energy, we know. But soon after eating or feeding babies, but after few hours, the glucose will no longer provide the energy, and its utilization will be decreased. And there must be the oxidation of the fatty acids. And if fatty acids are not oxidized simultaneously, due to the blockade in the enzyme acyl CoA dehydrogenase, which is the medium chain, you can say the acyl CoA dehydrogenase 1, then there is a death of the baby or the infants one. Here is another disease which is called Jamican vomiting sickness, and the symptoms of the disease are the hypoglycemia, sudden decrease in the blood glucose level, vomiting, convulsion, coma, and at last the death. And it was caused due to the eating of the unripe ackee fruits, which contains an unusual toxic amino acid which is called hypoglycin. This hypoglycin is in fact inhibit the enzyme acyl CoA dehydrogenase, and this acyl CoA dehydrogenase was very involved in the very first reaction of the beta oxidation of fatty acids, which was responsible for the buildup of alpha beta unsaturated double bond in the fatty acid. Therefore, the beta oxidation of fatty acid is blocked, and which leads to the complications, sudden appearance of the convulsion, coma, and like that. Here is the some theories about the absorption of the lipids or the fatty acids, that after taking lipids or the fatty acids, how they are absorbed in the body. And among this theory, number first is the lipolytic theory. And this lipolytic theory was put forth by the Wurzer. And according to him, the fats or the you can say lipids which any individual eat are completely hydrolyzed to the cholesterol and the free fatty acids. And later on, they are absorbed by the sabonification process, which is due to the association of the completely hydrolyzed fats with the bile salts. And these bile salts are incorporated or released into the small intestine from the gallbladder. And these bile salts are bile acids are in fact are continuously synthesized or produced in the liver, but they are stored in the gallbladder. And second theory is the partition theory, which is proposed by the Fraser. What he said that the digestion of the triglycerol is not the complete one; it's the partial one. Partial means that like if it's triacylglycerol, or these carboxylic acid functionality is not released from the cholesterol end. Therefore, lipids are break down in the impartial form, or the, you can say, not the complete form. And therefore some acyl group is still present with the cholesterol, like it's the 2-mono acyl cholesterol. And therefore the lipids are taken up by the intestinal mucosa cell. And again, there is resynthesis of lipids is not necessary for their entry into the circulation. This is not the complete lipolysis, it's incomplete or the partial, because one acyl group or the fatty acid functionality is still present on the cholesterol end. Therefore, only 2 fatty acids are released, and this theory was called the partition theory. What the Bergstrom theory is, it's in fact the more comprehensive one, and it said that there is almost not the complete, you can say, the uh, lipolysis or the hydrolysis of the fatty acids. And therefore the primary products obtained from the lipid digestion is mainly the 2-monoacyl cholesterol and free fatty acids and free cholesterol. And if cholesterol is present in the form of cholesterol ester, then this bond will be lysed or break down in the form of fatty acid, and cholesterol will be the free in the form in this form. And there is involvement of the water molecule, and cholesterol esterase is involved in this overall reaction. Next is the role of the bile salt in the lipid absorption, that the bile takes an important part in in fact the digestion and the absorption of the lipids. And lipids absorption, lipids digestion mainly takes place in the small intestine. And from the small intestine, from the lumen end, they must be the make the part of the intestinal mucosal cells. And lastly or the after it, they must be the make the part of the blood circulation system. Therefore, the bile salts form the mixed micelles with the lipids. And these are like this shape, they are smaller in size. And lipids, in fact, the emulsions droplets are bigger one. And these micelles or the disc, what they will do, they will in fact incorporate the, you can see from here, incorporate the these different, you can say, amino fatty acids, lipids functionalities, cholesterol, phospholipids, and the 2-monoacyl glycerol functionalities. They will carry on the fatty acid functionalities on it. And therefore from the intestinal lumen, these biomolecules are transported to the intestinal mucosal cells. And for it, it's very important that there is a union and there is compensation between the hydrophobic and the hydrophilic character of the you can say the lipids or the fatty acids and these micelles. And what these micelles will do, they in fact incorporate or take these lipids at their interior end, and the bile salt is present at the exterior or the peripheral end. And the hydrophilic groups of the lipids are oriented outside, because outside there is intestinal environment and water molecule is present in the very large amount. Therefore, as the fatty acids are not the, you can say, the hydrophilic in character, but they are hydrophilic at one end. Therefore, hydrophilic end is oriented outside of these micelles. Therefore, they can be made the part of the aqueous environment, and hydrophobic group is still remained inside of the micelles. In this fashion, the micelles carry out the you can say the lipids or the fatty acids from the lumen to the mucosal cells. And therefore, we will say that the mixed micelle serves the major vehicles for the transport of the lipids. And therefore, there must be the high absorption of the lipids inside of the bloodstream in order to provide the energy. And the lipid component pass through the unstirred fluid layer and are absorbed through the plasma membrane by the simple diffusion process. And because only the water soluble lipids are permitted over here, therefore this absorption is incomplete, because the insoluble functionalities will not be made the part of this absorption system. Therefore, less than 40% of the dietary cholesterol is absorbed. Here is the overall representation. And now the abnormalities of the lipid digestion and absorption. What abnormalities can occur? In fact, the gastrointestinal tract possesses an efficient system for the digestion and absorption of lipids as well. It can comfortably handle as much as 4 times the normal daily intake of lipids. But there is some abnormalities like steatorrhea, and words, it's the condition which is characterized by the loss of lipids in the feces. It means that the lipids which are absorbed in the bloodstream, they can't give the energy by their beta oxidation, but they are expelled out of the body. And there is defect in the secretion of the bile or the pancreatic juice in the intestine. Therefore, the impairments in the lipid absorption doesn't occur by the intestinal cell, and it's commonly seen by the persons which have diseases or impairments or some problem in their pancreas, or biliary obstruction, or severe liver dysfunction is also present in some patients, which causes the steatorrhea, which is you can say the important lipids which should be absorbed and which should be oxidized in the body are expelled out from the system. Here are some questions which you have to do for this lecture. What kind of the bond begins the process of beta oxidation? And you have to tell the inhibitors of the beta oxidation. And today we have discussed the fatty acid, which is 16 carbon containing, but you have to calculate the ADPs which are generated from the oxidation of the 14 carbon containing fatty acid. And lastly, the what are cholesterol stones, how they are formed. It's all about for today's lecture. And student, contact me if you have some problem in understanding. Best wishes.